Alright, City Council meeting, it's October 1st, 2024. I just had a flashback, sorry about that. Joe, would you do a roll call, please?
English,
Here.
Wood,
Here.
Gookin,
Yup.
Evans,
Here.
Miller.
Here.
Thank you. Invocation, is Chris Laurie here? Not seeing him. Boy, they don't like to mess their prayers, do they? Anyway, we'll move on to the pledge. Amy, would you give us the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Amy. Any amendments to the agenda? Hearing none. Moving on. Public comments. No public comments. I'm feeling kind of special here tonight. Moving on. Announcements. Council.
I just have one.
Go.
There is a development agreement workshop coming up on October 15th, and anyone who is involved in planning, dealing with any of those things that we deal with contractors who are coming to decision makers and how those negotiations work. It's going to be facilitated by Trish Nielsen from Southern Idaho, who has a huge background in how these things work across the state. It's free, and the signups are limited. You can go to NIBCA or the Housing Solutions Partnership and sign up for that. And it's really dedicated for city staff and the building community to attend to get some good education on how we can maybe move the dial on some workforce and local worker housing. October 15th.
All right. Anybody else? Mr. Gookin?
You want me to make something up?
Well, words of wisdom, maybe?
Well, if you're putting me on the spot, I'm going to wish former President Carter a happy 100th birthday today.
Good for you.
Perfect.
Yeah, nice.
Can you imagine being 100? Wouldn't that be fun?
No.
No. The stories you could tell. Chris, do you have anything?
No, sir.
All right. Mr. English. All right, moving on. I need to make an appointment, if I could be so bold, and for Teresa Benner to the Personal Appeals Board.
I'll move to appoint Teresa Brenner to approve the appointment of Teresa Brenner to the Personal Appeals Board. Board. Sorry.
Moved and seconded by Dan and Dan. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you so much.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented, including resolution number 24-077.
Look for a second, please.
Second.
Yeah, second. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all those, roll call. Sorry.
English,
Yes.
Wood,
Yes.
Evans.
Yes.
Miller,
Aye.
Gookin.
Yep.
All right, moving on. Resolution 24078. Melissa Tosi, come on down.
I have a couple classification and compensation amendments to bring forward tonight for your consideration. The two amendments are specific to our IT network systems administrator and an IT technician too. So I'll go into each of those. Our IT network systems administrator, this position we've been recruiting for, and it has been vacant since May of 2024. We're working on getting it filled. So with that position, it's currently a pay grade 16. We have recommended some changes that are in the current job description. I pulled out just a few of the more major changes on this slide, but there's quite a few actual amendments in the job description. The first one is that this position, the Network Systems Administrator, currently the direct report to that position is the IT Database Application Developer. It's a very long title. The database application developer is a pay grade 17, the network systems administrator is a pay grade 16, and so that position reports up to the developer. We are recommending changing that so they both directly report to the municipal services director, and then they both have staff that they supervise underneath the position. So the positions would have parity in pay. And then increasing the network experience requirement from 4 years to 8. That was really more of an industry standard in reviewing the job descriptions for this type of position with the amount of responsibility that it has. And then requiring 4 of those years to actually manage a large network, like something similar to ours. And then requiring the CJIS clearance. I already talked about the leveling. And then I just wanted to highlight that this position, the Network Systems Administrator, really does provide an extensive expertise to our overall management of the network, servers, firewalls, all of those related systems, and is responsible for the overall health of our network. So there is a lot of responsibility that falls under this classification. So the current pay grade 16, if it is to be increased to the proposed pay grade 17, that's a 10% difference. And then the Municipal Services Department is planning on offsetting that increase by just slow hiring any other vacancies that they have to offset the difference of the 10%. So the other position is the IT Technician 2. This is the main municipal services IT tech plus some additional duties. The IT Technician, the 2, would be responsible for really streamlining some of the IT tech work that's specific to their internal ticketing systems process. So inside the city, we use a ticketing service that goes to IT, and this position specifically would delegate those tickets, prioritize the tickets to the other IT tech staff. And then the IT Technician 2 would communicate all the status of those projects and the IT ticketing up to the IT Network Systems Administrator. This would require a year of either supervisory or some sort of lead position experience, and more extensive knowledge of the installation, maintenance, and the network system as a whole. So this is being proposed from the IT Tech at a pay grade 11 to an IT Technician 2 at a pay grade 12. That difference between those two pay grades is 8%. There is a current IT Technician completing this work now, and we would like to reclassify that IT Tech to an IT Tech 2. The annual wages for that difference is just shy of $6,000, and that is already accounted for and approved in the current fiscal year budget. So a couple final takeaways. With the IT Network Systems Administrator, approving those amendments in the job description really would provide an updated leveling, which would really help with the competitive process we're trying to complete, and bring the position up to the responsibilities needed within that division. And then the IT Technician 2 really would just allow the Municipal Services Department to create a better internal efficiency on how they're flowing that work. And approving the pay grade 12 would provide a better internal equity within the IT division. So happy to stand for any questions.
Thank you, Melissa. Questions for Melissa? All this techie talk? You have anything?
No.
You have that glow in your eye.
No, I just want to make the motion to approve resolution, it would be 24078, which is approving the amendment to the classification and compensation plan for the Municipal Services Department, increasing IT Network Administrator from a pay grade 16 to 17 and creating a new classification titled Technician 2 at pay grade 12.
Second.
Been moved and seconded.
And
Discussion.
yeah, Mr. Mayor, I just want to say that, yes, you need to pay the nerds what they're worth. And so I appreciate this step in the right direction. Thank you, staff.
Anybody else? Hearing none, a roll call, please.
Wood,
Yes.
Evans.
Yes.
Miller,
Aye.
Gookin.
Yes.
English.
Yes. Thank you. Moving on, Resolution 24079, the Water Boys are coming.
We are here. All right, good evening, Mayor and Council. This evening I have a presentation to request the acceptance of a bid for water meters, registers, and endpoints for the 2024-25 meter changeout project. Back in 2005, we found a significant undocumented water loss issue and proceeded to create a meter changeout program to try to cure that issue. Now the Water Department has an annual MCOP project that will eventually replace all 20,000 meters plus now, every 10-year cycle. We figured that the lifespan of these meters is about 10 years from the manufacturer recommendations, as is the battery life in the cellular reading unit. Once the meter reaches its 10 years, it loses accuracy, and a 3% loss is recommended replacement. It's recommended that the water meters be rebuilt after that 3-year loss, and we can do that in-house now with our meter test bench. Currently, the next boundary that we anticipate to do is Boundary 6, which is in the central part of the city, basically north of Sherman, 15th Street, Northwest Boulevard area, all the way up to Harrison, which encompasses about 2,300 meters. So we average, on an average year, we were replacing about 2,000 meters. Bids were put out, and we were Badger Meter was the only responsive bid for a cost of $598,275.24, which was well below the budget of $685,000. As previous mentioned, 2,000 meters have approximately 2,000 meters have reached their life expectancy. Once it's removed, we bring it into our shop, we clean it up, we put it through our meter test bench, which I have. Right here, pretty expensive unit, but we can test these with accuracy from the manufacturer standards. So we'll take all these meters, bring them in, test them, find out which ones are inaccurate. If we have some that have higher flows in them, they can become inaccurate. Most of the residential meters, we can test those and possibly put those back into production by putting a new register and a cellular read unit on them. The larger meters, we can rebuild the chambers and put those back into production, but the smaller meters, it doesn't really make sense to rebuild them for cost effectiveness. So once we put those, we can collect the amount of meters that we can put into service for the next following year, and we can make estimates on how many we can need to order and should have smaller amounts and save on quite a bit on budget. With that, we would recommend the purchase agreement with Badger Meter for acquisition of new water meters in the amount of $598,275.24. I would stand with questions.
Thanks, Glenn. Questions? Christie?
Glenn, just clarification for our huge audience here tonight, that the $600,000 budget is this year's budget, part of your strategic plan. It's not new dollars.
No.
Thank you.
Questions? Look for an option.
Mr. Mayor, I was just going to say, what comment, and this comes from the ratepayers.
Correct.
So this is not property tax dollars.
Correct.
This is the ratepayers are paying for
Correct.
this. You're upgrading the system. I appreciate the attention and the detail you pay to keep the system up and running. Anyone who's ever lived somewhere where the water department is, will appreciate that when you turn on the tap here, the water comes out and it's good water. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
It's not brown like Texas. So anyway,
I'll look for a motion, please.
I'll make the motion to approve Resolution 24079, approving an agreement with Badger Meter for the purchase of meters, registers, and endpoints in the amount of $598,275.24.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Evans.
Yes.
Miller.
Aye.
Gookin.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Wood.
Yes.
Thank you, Joe. Moving on. Oh. Glenn, you're still here. All right, Resolution 24080.
This I have here is a presentation for the award of a bid contract for the RC well pump rehabilitation project. We would recommend to council to approve the base bid of $108,925 to specialty pump services. A little bit of history on RC Well and why it's named RC Well. We felt it very fitting to dedicate this to our late Ralph Capal, who was the superintendent of the water department years and years ago. Although we did not get to work with Ralph, we get to see his name almost on a daily basis on our record drawings and our tap cards. And they are in very detailed order, so we appreciate his years of service for the water department. So,
Who is that guy? Who was that there standing there? Oh, that was me. Sorry.
Back in 2013, the well was drilled. It had a 24-inch casing installed down to 400-foot depth. It was put into production with a tested amount of 4,500 gallons a minute, and is currently now producing about 4,200 gallons a minute. So we've got a 24-inch casing down in the ground. It consists of a 600 horsepower electric motor. Up top, it's got 12-inch column pipe down the well to a pump with a line shaft, a 2 3/16 stainless steel line shaft down the middle that drives the pump from the bottom and pumps the water to the surface and out to our customers. The water department has budgeted $200,000 through the operations and maintenance budget to rehabilitate this well. We solicited bids and received one from Specialty Pump. We also have options in that bid, due to the fact that we don't know what we're gonna see when we pull that well out of the hole. We have wear and tear parts, just like you would on say a vehicle or anything like that. We don't know what we see until we tear it down. So once we tear it down, we can make those inspections to see if we need any replacement parts, and that's what the bid options would be. And the bid options came back for the full scope of work, with a full replacement at $207,025. We don't anticipate that we're gonna have these failures. Specialty Pump put this in originally, and they do very good work, and we've seen the work that they do usually proves to where the quality does not create any as much wear and tear parts as we've seen. So we don't anticipate, once they pull it out, that we're gonna have to replace everything in its full scope. So we're proposing that the base bid of $108,925 be approved and not to exceed a contract amount of $200,000. If we do see massive failure when we pull this out, and it does extend to that $200,000 budget or further, we would definitely come back to council for approval to have the rest of the replacement parts approved. Once they pull this pump out of the hole, they're gonna do their inspections. They will straighten the shaft. They will replace the spider bearings that you see right here. Sometimes the bushings inside can just be replaced, and we wouldn't have to replace the brass housing, so we can save a little bit of money there. So we'll do all those inspections. We'll also do a downhole inspection. We'll put a video camera down there, a waterproof one, of course, that is gonna inspect the screening, make sure that there's no mineral deposits, or if we haven't seen any damage in the screens where the water comes through from pulling the well out. If we don't see any issues there, then we should be able to stay within our scope for the base bid. And with that, we would recommend that the council approve the agreement with Specialty Pump Services for the RC Well Rehabilitation Project in the amount of $108,000. $108,925, not to exceed the budget amount of $200,000.
Thanks, Glenn. Questions? I have a couple. So this is a 6-year-old well?
This was installed in 2014, so we're looking at 10 years.
10 years.
So we try to rehabilitate these at least once every 10 years.
10 years. The guys who made it are the ones that are doing the service to it.
Correct.
And 10 years is the cycle when you kind of start taking things apart and looking. You're not feeling vibrations, or the amount of water being pumped hasn't gone down or anything like that?
We're not seeing that, no.
Just-
If we see pump wear and tear, we monitor the hours of use. We have some primary wells that work better in certain different areas. So we'll make that determination. It may be 8 years if we see lots of hours on a pump, and then we see some additional evidence that it could need to be replaced sooner. And so we'll make that decision before we institute a project such as this.
And these projects are done during the off-season, when you don't have to pump all your wells, all your pumps?
Yep.
Okay. Questions from council? Look for a motion, please.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 24-080, approving a contract with Specialty Pump Services Incorporated for rehabilitation of the RC Well Pump Rehabilitation Project in the amount of $108,925, not to exceed $200,000.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Questions, discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Miller,
Aye.
Gookin,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Wood,
Yes.
Evans.
Yes.
Thanks, Glenn. Thanks, you guys.
So, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to recess to October 7th, 2024, 12 noon at City Hall Conference Room Number 6, 17 East Mullen Avenue, for a workshop regarding Council Seat 4 applicant interviews.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you all.
Bingo, okay.
We are recessed.
Yeah.